Good morning, Savannah, and welcome to the Savannah Business Showcase. And this morning, I have a very special guest, a representative of the Small Business Development Center here in Savannah through UGA, Mr. Mark Butler. That's right, right?
That's right.
Okay,
That's right.
hi.
That's right.
And then I'll let you introduce yourself.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate you having me on the show. My name is Mark Butler. I'm the area director of the University of Georgia Small Business Development Center for Savannah. And the Small Business Development Center, part of the University of Georgia, we're part of the public service and outreach arm of the university, and our charter is to work with small business owners in the community and those who are looking to start a small business in the community.
Awesome. So what are your main clients? Like, who are your main clientele? Like, who do you see coming here most often? Is it like new people, people currently in business, people that are trying to get out of business? Who do you see the most often?
Well, that's a great question. Yeah, oftentimes we're kind of identified as the organization that works with startups, but really about 75% of our time is supposed to be spent with folks who are in business or have been in business for a number of years. So
Okay.
we spend about 25% of our effort towards businesses or individuals that are looking to start, and 75% of our time on individuals that have been in business and are looking to grow or resolve an issue that they're having.
Awesome. Okay. So what we're going to do today is something different. We're not going to do a lightning round, but just for everybody out there listening, what we're going to do today, we're going to learn a little bit about Mark, learn a little bit about the SBDC, and then we're going to rip apart a business plan that I sent him last night or yesterday morning for a donut shop. So hopefully everybody can gain a little bit of insight from it.
You're being too hard on yourself. You've done a good job on this business plan.
Well, thank you. Thank you for saying that on the air. Okay, so what's your background? Where do you come from? How did you get into this position?
It's been a long road getting here, but I'm originally from Texas, a graduate of Texas A&M University. Spent the first part of my career working for organizations in the information technology space, responsible for developing products, getting them launched, marketing them, and then sales. Like many people who are prone to start a business, at some point I got a little frustrated working for somebody else and having my fate in someone else's hands. So I decided to start my own business. And I've had my own business on two separate occasions. I looked for something that was a good fit for me personally, as well as my skill set and background, and landed on taxes and financial services for small businesses. So I started two practices that did that. Both I've had a little bit of success with, was able to sell those and transition out of those when I decided to do so. And in doing so, got to a point to where I was looking for a way to give back and do something, with the skills and experience that I had, and that's when I uncovered the opportunity with the Small Business Development Center. So
Awesome.
It was a chance for me to kind of come and work with small business owners and give back and support them and use the experience and the training that I had in doing so.
Okay, so how did you end up in Georgia from Texas?
Well, it was a good, moving for jobs and moved from Texas to Chicago. And then when the opportunity in Chicago kind of came to an end, there was a chance to move to Atlanta. So I did that.
Okay.
And then about 7 or 8 months ago, the university asked me if I'd be willing to move to Savannah and take over the office here with the SBDC. And before they could finish asking, I was packing my office and saying, you better believe it, I'd be happy to move to Savannah. So I've been here and loved it ever since.
Yeah. So why do you like Savannah more than Atlanta?
Well, Savannah is a place where you can kind of get plugged into the community a little bit more. There's a lot going on here. There is no shortage of opportunity or activity, but you can get engaged, you can be involved with what's going on, and it's not superficial. It's a way to really be a part of what's happening here. And with all of the effort and things that are going on with the port expansion and the activity in the area, it's just a strong economic base. There's a lot of good things that are going to happen to this area in the coming years. And I thought it'd be great to be, although a very small part of that, or even just a witness to it, I thought it would be great to see that and come to fruition over the next few years. So that's in large part why I came.
Very good point. Yeah, I meet a lot of people who trying to start a business, trying to get their feet wet, but they want to move to a bigger city, for more people, and they think that's going to help. They think that's going to help with like having a larger audience, larger market. But kind of my point of view is that why not build a base, build a foundation in the smaller community first.
Right.
And then get your feet wet there, and then it'll be easy to branch out.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, no, and I mean that's a good idea. And one of the things that we'll talk about a lot within this role is starting to, and just talking with early stage business owners is, start small, focus, get your operational model built, get comfortable with what it is you're doing, and then look to expand.
Right.
You try to expand too quickly, try to grow too quickly, that can kill you just like no growth can.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got to be very, very careful. Savannah is a great market to start a business. Like I said, the economic growth is here. The economic activity is here. The growth is going to be here. It's just a vibrant area with a lot of opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So when people come in to see you, what are the red flags that you see the most?
Well, a couple of things. And you're talking about those who are looking to start up a business.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing you have to do with them is kind of peel back the euphoria or the excitement about opening their own business and make sure that they are, in fact, ready, that they're aware of what it means to be in business, what it means to own your own business. And it's not all positives. So that's the first thing. You want to make sure that they're grounded in reality and they know what they're getting into. A lot of if it's an established business, sometimes we have to. The red flags are not so much that they have a real issue they don't recognize. It's just they need someone else to validate and kind of help them through what they think or suspect may be the problem.
Right.
The issue and part of our role at the SBDC is to be a little bit more educational and guiding in our interaction with students or in our interaction with business owners. And sometimes what we have to do is we have to take them off of what they think is the issue and point them towards what really is
Got you.
The problem and what they need to be working on. So,
Okay.
So those are some of the things that we deal with. A lot of times it's just business owners are trying to hit an objective. They're trying to get somewhere. They're trying to improve something, and that is our role, is to help them make that improvement or achieve that objective. Because ultimately what we have to do when we work with business owners is we have to show impact.
Mm-hmm.
We have to help them grow their revenues or help them expand their employment base, hopefully both.
Mm-hmm.
And really that's what we're trying to do in our guidance and our coaching through the SBDC.
Got you. So what is the process like for a person who wants to come see you guys here and get counseled and get coached? What's the process from my side of the table?
It's a great question. If you're looking to start a business, what we will do most oftentimes is we'll use the business plan framework as our guide or the process that we'll walk you through. And we certainly encourage all new or aspiring business owners to write a business plan. There's value in that written document, but it's the process we're going to go through, and it's the questions we're going to ask and have to get answers to that's really going to be the benefit.
Okay.
And of course, we're going to do an example of that later on, I know. So,
Right.
So that's the process for those who are looking to start a business. If you've been in business and you've got some experience behind you, then the process is a little bit different, but it's still kind of an investigative, let's do some analysis, let's have some discussion about where you've been, where you are, where you're wanting to go. But we'll talk a little bit about what they think the problem is. But the consultant on my side of the table, what we've got to do in that regards is really listen and make sure that what we're hearing and what they think is the problem really is.
Okay.
For example, they may think they need a loan, and it's really a funding issue, but in reality, it's a management of the monies that they have to date that's the issue.
Mm.
So don't borrow when you don't have your financial house in order.
Gotcha.
That type thing. Maybe
Okay.
you just need to be better at collecting the money that's owed to you versus going out and borrowing more.
Good.
That type stuff.
Good
So
point.
a little bit more of a diagnostic approach before we do any kind of prescription or setting a plan forward.
Okay. And when I first met you, there was a guy who asked this question, so I'm gonna steal it. But how soon can people expect to see you? So somebody reaches out to you, how soon can they expect to get an appointment?
Right. We've got limited resources. We've got limited consultants that work here, so we're very judicious with our time, and we've got to set the schedule that works best for both of us. But it takes about 2 to 3 weeks to get in to see a consultant in the Savannah office, and we meet periodically after that, probably on about a monthly basis.
Okay.
Post that. Our format is to work within the sessions We'll identify things that we need to work on. We'll share in some of those activities. But a lot of this is the responsibility of the business owner or the aspiring business owner to do work themselves. Mm-hmm. So we will assign tasks, give direction, and ask them to do things, give them time to complete it, and then come back, and then we'll review what's been done and then set the next objective or milestone that we need to work towards.
Okay.
So that stretch, that time in between sessions is important for the business owner to do what they need to do on their end and show a willingness to work with us and a willingness to roll up their sleeves and do what's needed for their business.
Right. Instead of just talk about it.
Yeah. We can do that.
Yeah.
We can talk about it. I can prop my feet up on the desk and we can pontificate all day long about business. But at the end of the day, you're not going to get anywhere, and I'm not going to show impact, and my bosses aren't going to be happy with me.
Gotcha. And that's the difference between this and SCORE, correct? Is because you're not a volunteer. You're paid.
This is a full-time job. The consultants within the SBDC do this 5 days a week. This is our profession. This is our career. So we are not volunteers, and so we have expectations from our stakeholders, which include the university, which include the Small Business Administration, to show impact and to drive impact through the Georgia economy. So that's our purpose for being here, and we have to make sure that we do that.
Okay. So I guess let's step back. Like, why do you think business, getting into business, called out to you? Like, what is it about you that wanted to be a business owner?
That's a good question. I like the challenge of building and developing things, and I think that's probably why the two businesses that I had, after a number of years, I decided to let someone else take them on. I think I'm really good at the building and developing and starting. The maintaining, I think, is best left to someone else. But I think, it called to me from that standpoint. I think I just felt like, my training and so forth, I had a knack for it. Mm-hmm. It's good to start with basically an idea or a concept and to see it come to fruition.
Yeah.
A large part of it was after having been an employee for a number of years and working for organizations that had a tendency to be acquired, gobbled up, and disappear in a blink. Like I said, I wanted to take my fate and my future into my own hands, and I felt like being an owner of my own business, I was able to do that.
Okay. All right. Well, so we don't have time for a full lightning round, but I still want to ask you some of these questions because I'm interested in your answers.
Okay.
So this will be a short lightning round before we get into the business plan. So how have you approached failure in life?
Well, it's embrace it, to be honest with you, because it's going to happen. I mean, if you're not experiencing failure, you're probably not trying too hard. Learn from it. I learn best from mistakes. If you're going to be hesitant and you don't want to be willing to make mistakes, then you're not going to get very far, certainly not in business. So failure is a learning experience. That which does not kill us makes us stronger. So just keep moving forward and keep learning from it, and don't let things keep you down.
So who influenced you early in life, and who's your mentor now?
Early in life, I had a couple of people. I was very fortunate. I played a lot of sports when I was in high school, and I had a couple of coaches who were very influential in my life.
Okay.
And
what'd you play?
Well, I played football.
Okay.
In high school, though. So
what position?
I was an offensive tackle.
Okay.
And I was a lot bigger and a lot thicker than I am now. So, but it taught me a lot of lessons about teamwork. It taught me a lot of lessons about preparation. The more you prepare, the better, the more successful you're going to be. Mm-hmm. The harder you work, the luckier you get, type stuff. Mm-hmm. So those were great lessons to learn early on. So I've been very lucky to have people like that in my life as I went along. As I got into my corporate life and started working in the business world, I ran into a couple people who were just very, very good leaders, very seasoned business owners, and I just spent time with them and learned what I could from them. And they all taught me a little bit about being successful in business. So that's important. When you talk about business owners today, it is important for you to find people outside your business that can influence you and can help you, because being a business owner is a little bit isolating.
Yeah.
It's like being on an island. You cannot share your struggles and your trials and tribulations with your employees, and you got to be careful about how much you share it with your family when you go home.
It's true.
So you've got to find a mentor. You've got to find someone outside the organization that can give you very straight up, no skin in the game advice and feedback. And even within the SBDC, sometimes we can fulfill that role for you as well.
Okay. What is your favorite book?
My favorite book. I like to read nonfiction.
Okay.
I like to read historical nonfiction.
Okay.
And I like to read an awful lot about Winston Churchill. I'm just fascinated by this individual man and his ability to lead a country through one of the most trying times in the history of civilization, and how positive he was and how relentless he was and how clear he was able to think with so many things around him showing him that it was not going to work, that this was just not going to come to a positive end for them. But I just found him a very fascinating individual. I've read several books about him. I would probably pick those up and read them again if I had to today.
Okay. So there's a concept called the 80-20 principle. So 20% of the actions you take equate to 80% of the results you get. So what is the 20% of actions so when you had your business, what were the 20% of actions you took that gave you the greatest results?
And this is one of the things that I try, and I think the way you're asking it's a great way for me to start using it going forward about, 20% of your effort is going to generate 80% of your benefit. Mm-hmm. It's marketing and sales.
Okay.
So many business owners think they have to be so good at what it is, the service or the product that they provide. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you do want to have some capability and understanding of that. But let me tell you, if you can market effectively and you can sell effectively, that 20% of the time you're going to spend on that is going to generate 80% of the benefit on the back end. Mm-hmm. Just because you're the best house painter in the world doesn't mean you're going to get to paint houses unless people know about you and you can get quotes out and land the business. So you have got, in today's world, you have got to master the marketing and sales side of moving your business forward. That is going to get you 80% where you need to be.
Okay, so I'm going to dive a little deeper in that one. So everybody's not a salesman. Everybody's not good at marketing. So like, what advice do you have for those type of people?
You better learn to get good at it. You better get what you can, get some information on it,
yeah.
Go to classes, read books, watch YouTube videos, come in and talk to the SBDC consultants and find out what you need to be doing. It's 2017. You have got to master and understand how to use social media, digital media to move and promote your business. It's just a fact of life. I don't care what your business is. Mm-hmm. You've got to find a way to do that. You've got to become a salesman because not only are you selling your prospects, your customers, mm-hmm. but you've got to sell lenders on lending you money. You've got to sell landlords on taking a chance with you and giving you space. You've got to sell vendors on supplying to you. Mm. You've got to sell employees on working for you. Mm-hmm. You have got to sell just about everybody you come in contact with. Mm. So you have got to figure those two out. And this is why sometimes you see successful businessmen and women who really don't have a background in the industry or the product, but were excellent marketing and salespeople, and they find a way to achieve and succeed in the business they choose to work in.
Mm. Very okay. I'll accept that.
Okay.
So do you feel like entrepreneurship and being a counselor, do you feel like that's your life's calling?
I do. I enjoy business. I consider myself a student of business. Mm-hmm. And to be in this role, you have to be. You have to want to talk about business. You have to want to learn about business. And you have to want to be engaged in business. And I feel that way about myself. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily, my employers probably aren't going to appreciate this, but I don't necessarily read a lot of books about business, mm-hmm. but I do study business. Gotcha. I like to listen to it. I like to read the Wall Street Journal. I like to see and learn from the mistakes that plenty of businesses are making and or things they're doing right. Mm-hmm. Having an affinity and a desire to know about entrepreneurship, be around it, be a student of business, it's very critical for this role, mm-hmm. but it's also just critical for the business owner and the entrepreneur themselves as well.
So outside of the Wall Street Journal, what else do you study? What else are you reading?
You've got to really what you can do is the Wall Street Journal has a great small business section.
Okay.
And if you can only read a couple things, read that. Watch YouTube videos. Mm-hmm. There is a YouTube channel on every industry and every type of business. My brother has learned how to run his lawn care and maintenance business by watching a YouTube channel with a collection of 5 to 7 minute videos on every little aspect of a business. Mm. I think it's fantastic. I think it's a great medium and platform for entrepreneurs to get information in small bites, which is kind of how they best consume it because of the demands on their time.
Right.
But that's just a great avenue to go through and get information. The other thing that I would encourage you, what we were talking about before, is the mentorship model. Find you a mentor. Get connected with an SBDC consultant. Come in, have periodic visits with us. If we're not meeting once a month, let's meet once a quarter. And let's just keep progress, moving forward, keep tabs on what you're doing, and have you take advantage of that resource as well.
Is there a quote that's been a mantra in your life?
Yes. Benjamin Disraeli, constancy to purpose. The secret to success is constancy to purpose. Just keep going. That's what I tell people, business owners and so forth. Just live to fight another day. Just keep moving forward. Don't let anything deter you. You're going to have to get used to deflecting no's, or that can't happen, or that won't work. But just stay true to your purpose and keep moving forward.
What did you want to be as a kid?
I wanted to be the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, but that didn't work out.
Well, you might have a chance here soon.
I don't know. Jerry Jones is not returning my phone calls. I told him I'd work cheap.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah,
but he isn't taking me up on it.
If you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Besides Texas, Australia.
Okay.
Been there a few times. It's a very fascinating place. The people are just interesting, and it's really a unique place. You can tell it's on the opposite side of the world.
If you had a superpower or ability, what would you choose and why?
I'd want to be able to fly.
Okay.
Because I like to do things quickly and get to where I want to be. And I'm tired of the TSA and standing in lines at the airport.
Yeah, yes. Advice for entrepreneurial kids and their parents.
Entrepreneurial advice for kids is just, keep your dreams alive. Keep thinking about ideas. Businesses that they will be in probably have not even been thought of yet. Mm-hmm. Things are changing at a rapid pace. If they will stay connected to technology and understand technology and figure out a way to deploy it, that will serve them well. To their parents, just be encouraging. Mm-hmm. Just be positive and encouraging. Just recognize that the model that the parents worked in, the corporate model, go to work somewhere and stay there for quite some time, is not what their kids are going to be part of. Mm. So their inventiveness, their eagerness, their interest in unique things is going to serve them well in their employment world, so be encouraging of it.
Do you have kids?
I do.
Yeah. Are they business owners, or are they? What are they doing? What advice did you give them?
Well, they're both in college, and I've told them to pursue their passions and their dreams. Don't get caught up in, will this allow me to make money? Can I get a good job with that? Because a lot of what we just talked about. So I told them to pursue what they are truly interested in, and the rest of it will find a way to take care of itself. So they're doing that. I think at some point, they will both be self-employed. Mm-hmm. And it's partly because it may be part of their nature. I think it may be because it's something that interests them. Mm-hmm. But I think in large part it'll just be because of the work environment that they find themselves in 10, 15, 20 years from now. Mm-hmm. They will be freelancers or independent contractors.
Yeah.
And they will move from assignment or job to position in that way.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's basically for the lightning round, but we got a few more minutes before break. So I'm curious as to, so a lot of people are afraid to fail. You have a different kind of mindset about it. So what were some of the challenges and failures you faced when you were in business?
Well, a lot of the challenges that I faced was just, first and foremost, is just getting used to the new skin I was in. I'd always been in a corporate world and a corporate environment where a lot of things are taken care of for you. Mm-hmm. If the copier stopped working, somebody magically showed up and fixed it or loaded it, and I didn't have to worry about it.
That's true.
But when I started my own business, I had to take care of everything. and I didn't always necessarily right away know everything that I needed to be taken care of. So I had to learn by missing some deadlines, missing some dates, but you know what? You just, okay, now I know I'm supposed to do that, and I'll do it next time. So those were some of the challenges. I think the other thing that I had to kind of get comfortable with early on was that not everyone that I worked with was going to be as good at their job or run their business as well as I wanted to. So I was going to have to kind of cull the people that I relied on. I was going to have to try some people. I was going to be disappointed, and then I was going to have to find somebody to replace them. I just had to survive that and move on. Not everything that you try is going to work. Not every marketing piece I sent out, not every advertisement I ran brought the people in droves. And I just had to get better at it and find out what would work for my customers. I also had to hire and fire some. I brought in people that I thought were going to be really good, only be disappointed, but eventually you get settled on a group of people that work for you. Gotcha. So that's part of, if you're going about this the right way and if you've got the right makeup, those challenges aren't going to destroy you. Those challenges aren't going to deter you. It's part of the process, and it's part of the appeal, believe it or not, behind owning and operating your own business is working your way through that and getting through the other side.
Another question that I like to ask is relating to startup capital. So a lot of people worry about not having enough money before they start their business, and so I'm curious, how did you get your startup capital for your two businesses?
Well, for my businesses, what I did is I bootstrapped them. I self-financed them myself. I did get friends and family to pitch in and help me. That was a little nerve-wracking, to be honest with you, because I'd much rather borrow from a bank than from my family.
Okay.
But it also put a great deal of pressure on me and motivated the heck out of me to make sure that I got that money back and paid it back. So I bootstrapped. I did the funding myself. Now, I started my two businesses probably at the worst times to start a business, the fall of 2001 and the summer of 2010. So the economy was not in the best of place. Lenders were not exactly handing out money. So I had to find a different way to go about it. But, that's where I also learned a valuable lesson, and that was, I had some pretty grandiose plans when I wanted to start, but I had to scale them back because of that. And I thought, you know what, this was really the right way to go. Start small, work my way up, and I tell my clients this all the time. When I started my first business, the fall of 2001, I could not get a lender to return my phone call. 3 to 4 years later, I couldn't get them to stop calling me. So, and some of the advice that I received when I first started was, you'll find that it's a lot easier to borrow money when you don't need it.
Gotcha.
And that became true.
Okay.
So, so the mantra, the structure became crawl, walk, then run. And I think that having to finance it myself forced me into that model, and it was really the best thing to do.
Gotcha. Yeah, I started a business right out of college with me and 3 friends, and I think I still owe my father-in-law about $500. I don't know what the interest rate is on that, but I remember that I owe it to him. So it is really hard that it is hard to borrow from friends and family.
He remembers you owe it to him too.
I bet he does. I bet he does. Yeah. Okay, so we'll take a quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll tear apart my business plan.
Okay.
All right, and we're back once again with Mark Butler here at the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center, through UGA here in Savannah. And I have a business plan that I gave him. It is for a donut shop. I think I call it Savannah's Best Donuts. It is an idea that I've really been throwing around in my head. Don't know if I'm going to do it or not, but I figured why not give Mark a chance to tell me what's wrong with it, what's right with it, and if I even have a shot. All right. So, and what I'll do is I'll post a link to it somehow, probably through Google, for everybody who likes the link on Facebook or sees it on Instagram. That way, you guys can see the business plan and go along with us. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah.
All right. Well, as starters, you've done a great job. You've got, in terms of the headings and the sections of the business plan, you've covered a lot of the top or the key areas that you've got to focus on when you think about starting a business. And some of the ones that I want to call out, and I know they'll be able to see it once they access it online, but the target market, identifying your competitors, talking about the products that you plan to sell, and then a little bit about your advertising and marketing strategy, and then we'll get into the cost as well. But as I kind of start this out, one of the things that I want to ask you is, well, what made you pick a donut shop? And what is it? Yeah, what in your background that kind of lends it yourself to being successful in that area?
I like donuts. That's the first thing. I like them.
Yeah.
The second thing is I figured. So when we were in Chicago, there were like 2 or 3 donut shops that we just loved going to, and they were really like gourmet donuts. They cost like $3 a pop, and we loved the donuts, but we hated paying that much for them. But they were in business. They were in a really high traffic area, but they were really so like Logan Square. There were a couple in Logan Square in Chicago, and I figured the rent there is really high, but they must be making a profit somehow because they've been here for years. So I was just thinking about that and how I would love to do something like that.
Okay. All right.
And it seems easy to sell donuts because people are just going to come if they're good donuts.
Right.
And you can always take samples around to different businesses and let them know that, we have a new donut shop here. Here's some donuts. People will always be accepting of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So do you make a lot of donuts on your own?
No.
Okay.
No.
Do you know about making donuts?
I know about it, yeah.
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 Can you tell me a little bit about the process for making donuts?
Well, we used to make funnel cakes, and I figured it couldn't be too much harder than that.
Okay.
You create the batter, and then you deep fry it in a
Yeah.
circle.
Okay.
Past that, I don't know. Yeah.
Have you ever worked in a restaurant or had any roles or responsibilities in a bakery or a restaurant?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. How about retail? Have you ever worked in retail?
Yes.
Okay. So you kind of have an idea of familiarity with dealing with customers who are coming in and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
And a caveat is that I figured I would have to get a business partner with bakery, cooking experience, restaurant experience.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about that. Are you a morning person?
Yeah,
You
I
are?
am. Yeah.
How early do you normally get up?
Well, my kids get up about 6, so I'm up about 5:50.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Because the old joke about got to get up and make the donuts, then you're getting up at like 3:30 in the morning.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with that.
Okay. All right. Because it is kind of an early morning product, something that people like to consume at that time. So, okay. All right. Well, one of the things as we kind of go through this, the challenge is the first thing that we'll talk about and that you'll have to kind of get comfortable with is get a lot of information about what it means to own a donut shop and how they work. Because if you do pursue a loan for your business, one of the criteria for an SBA-backed loan, which is what most startups pursue, is you've got to have transferable experience.
Okay.
You've got to have some familiarity or some background that lends itself to either running, owning, or operating a donut shop.
Okay.
So that's going to be one of the things that you want to think about. And if you are considering a partner, then my advice would be get a partner who has that kind of experience, and that so you satisfy that criteria as you move forward.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, you indicate that you want to do this downtown. Have you thought about a particular location? Have you been identifying or searching for any locations?
Well, I was thinking downtown. That might change, but I have looked at some. So like on Brighton Street, I know it's going to be about $100,000 a year or so. Just for
the rent.
Yeah, just for the rent.
Yeah.
Yeah, not even counting the the other the triple net lease type things, right?
Right.
So
right.
I haven't. No, like maybe I won't do that. But I've seen some other places like right outside of the downtown area. It could probably be about $25,000 a year, and it wouldn't would not be as bad. Yeah.
Okay. No, you're right. I mean, if you want to be in historic downtown Savannah, which is what your business plan calls for, it's a great location. You identify that you want to target tourists. I mean, that's where you're going to capture the tourists.
Right.
But you're also going to pay for the pleasure of being in downtown historic Savannah. And it is a very expensive lease rate. And the challenge with something like donuts, even if you are able to charge, like you said, $3, I notice you've identified $2, to pay the rent. That's a lot of donuts.
That's true.
You got to move a lot of donuts and sell a lot of cups of coffee. You talked about the example in Chicago. They were an expensive rent, and they were there for a number of years, so they must have been successful. The challenge is you don't know if they were successful. About the only thing you do know is that they were able to pay the rent.
That's true.
and they were able to pay their employees, and they might not have been able to do much more than that. So one of the things that we would do as we kind of went through this is think about, well, what would the cost be from a rent and a location standpoint, and then what does the revenue and the profit have to look like to justify being there, and is that a reasonable assumption? One of the best things to identify and size the opportunity for a retail location or a restaurant or a donut shop is just the square footage you're going to use. Square footage kind of dictates how much volume you can do, because it'll determine how many donuts you can make in there and how many people you can have in there buying donuts. The bigger the square footage, the more you can sell, but the more the square footage you have, the more expensive everything becomes. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. So we would look at that. So, being in the downtown Savannah area is appealing, but it's also very expensive. So it's something we'd have to look at, kind of what's the benefit of being there.
Got you.
Okay. Let me ask you, too. You've got your target market, assuming that we stay in historic Savannah area, tourist. You would also do a wholesale model to coffee shops, and then do like a catering type model to local businesses and event spaces. That's what you were thinking?
Yep.
Okay. Is that would you like to start with that or evolve to that?
Sounds like you think that'll be too much.
Well, my concern is that's really 3 different target markets.
That's true.
It's 3 different messaging, advertising. It's 3 different sales propositions. So this kind of gets back to the thing we talked about before, crawl, walk, run, focus, pick one, do really well at it, and then start to expand later on. This may mean that you're trying to do too much too soon, trying to be all things to all people. So if you had to pick one of those, obviously if you're in a retail model downtown, you'd want to focus on who?
Tourists.
The tourists?
Yeah.
The foot traffic that comes by? Okay. All right. Let me ask you this. What do you think one of the marketing challenges is in getting the attention of the tourist?
All the other long-standing restaurants and attractions here in Savannah that people want to see here.
Right. So how would you get their attention? How would you make sure that in the limited time that they have here, they come to you as opposed to something else?
Well, I guess that's why location would be such a big thing. If we could be along some of the stops, somewhere close to the stops where most of the tourists are going to see, like places like City Market or Broughton Street, or MLK as they drive by, or near one of the major hotels, or we could. I'm not the greatest at social media, so I could probably, but social media would be a big thing, and just like making sure we get great reviews on either Google and Yelp and Foursquare and things like that, so that people see us in the top.
Yeah. Well, and that's what you're going to have to think through is your social media strategy is going to be very important, but it's got to be a social media strategy on platforms that you catch tourists. One of the things about digital advertising that's fantastic is you can be very targeted and very specific with it. The challenge is with the tourists, you don't know where they're coming from. They're coming from all over.
Yeah.
So you've got to be where they are going to get information, and you're right. You've got to be Yelp, you've got to be on TripAdvisor, you've got to be on those type platforms where they can see you. So you'll have to think about that. And you'll also want to, what is it that makes your donut? If you're going after the tourist, it's got to have a very Savannah slant to it. So what is it about a donut that makes it a Savannah donut?
I don't know. Maybe we could put some alcohol in it.
This is, after all, an eating and drinking town. That's what I'm coming to find out. You're right.
A vodka donut.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I mean, and that would be something I would figure out with a business partner that has baking experience, in the restaurant experience. They know what people come to Savannah for to eat, and then they would be able to create something that would attract people.
Yeah.
So I would definitely need a business partner with that type of experience.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think you're on the right foot, or the right start. Savannah's best donuts. As simple as it sounds, just make sure the word Savannah is in there somewhere.
True. Yeah.
So that in itself will start to draw them and appeal to them. So, okay. Do you see yourself having any kind of an online component to this? Like, is there any ability to do anything online? Is there a way to perhaps buy some of your product online? I know right now we've got it pretty much limited to coffee and donuts, but
Mm-hmm.
will there be other things that you choose to sell there?
Well, yeah, sure. Especially if I do like the wholesaling, like maybe people could make orders of a dozen or more. If they're locally, within the historic district, maybe I could just hire a little donut delivery guy to, say to take my donuts to people.
Okay. All right. What about like merchandise? You think if you're capturing or going after the tourists, have you thought about Savannah's Best Donuts branded merchandise?
I haven't thought about that, but that's a good idea.
T-shirts, mugs.
Yeah, it'd be very easy to include. Yeah.
Because one of the things you want to think about with the tourist traffic, yeah, it's great while they're here, but also kind of capture their longing to be here after they go back,
Mm-hmm.
and have them reorder or, while they're back home, have them come back to your website and continue to buy from you.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe there's a way to do something with that. That'll be something to think about long term.
Maybe I could hire a Forrest Gump impersonator to come by the place every now and then.
Yeah, you could.
Yeah, that maybe if people could get pictures with Mr. Gump.
Yeah, he's pretty busy in the Savannah area. He might have a challenge there, but listen, those are the type of things that when you get to your marketing strategy, we've said social media, digital media is going to be huge, but traditional guerrilla, local, street level marketing still has its role and still is important to your business. So you can't completely dismiss that.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the print and direct mail, those things challenge to work going forward.
Mm-hmm.
But some of that stuff, like what you're mentioning, is, look, you'll be surprised how well that works.
Mm.
So that's one of the things you'll learn as you go along. That'll be some of the trial and error stuff. So, okay. You talked about your competitors, Baker's Pride, Dunkin' Donuts, Krispy Kreme, and then Kroger, Food Line, and Publix.
Mm-hmm.
Those, I would say Baker's Pride might be a little bit of a direct competitor. When we look at our competitors, we got to be sensitive to the fact that we really face competitors on three levels.
Okay.
We have direct competitors, those who do exactly what we're doing. We have indirect competitors, those who kind of do something similar to us. And then we have alternatives to just kind of vying for the same attention, the same dollar at the same time. Baker's Pride might be a direct competitor, but have you looked at any of the others that you might have downtown?
No.
Okay. The other coffee shops that are downtown that probably have a very similar line of pastries and offering a similar experience. Okay. So you'll want to be very, very sensitive to the amount of direct competition that you have.
Okay.
Because those are the people that you are going to compete with every minute of every day.
Okay.
Then your indirect, your Dunkin' Donuts and your Krispy Kremes, I would say those might be a little bit more of an indirect. I mean, there's still a donut in a coffee shop, but that's not really about the experience.
That's true.
So, and it's not really Savannah.
Yeah.
So, and then of course Kroger, Food Line, and Publix. Yeah, if you just want a donut, I mean, yeah, you can get one at Parker's for crying out loud.
That's true.
So okay, all right. So think about it. As you kind of go forward on this, think about the three layers of competition, and what are you going to do to separate yourself from those layers of competition? Okay, all right. So $2 for a gourmet cake donut.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just throwing it out there. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe that's too much. Maybe it's too little. We'd have to play with the prices. But the little bit of Google research that I did, it said that the cost to make a donut is about 10 cents a donut.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much that would increase for a cake donut or versus like a real sugary Krispy Kreme type donut, but it would all depend on that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and that's one of the things you'll want to do next, certainly, is you want to get a really good understanding of what is the cost going to be to make what it is you envision as your donut, your differentiating donut. What is the cost going to be? The second thing you'll want to do is go around and do a little, this is the fun part about this, is you're going to have to go around and shop your competition. Spend some mornings in their place eating their donuts and drinking their coffee and see what it cost you.
I might do that immediately
Yeah,
after this.
yeah, I don't blame you. And get a feel for that, because the thing you want to do, you certainly want to understand the cost, but the price that you charge, don't make it so tied to the cost. Make it tied to what the market will tolerate.
Okay.
You think about the value that you're providing and what it is people are willing to pay. That's the price. The delta between the two is obviously what you're going to use to cover your operating expenses within your business. So you'll want to get a firm understanding of that. Maybe the value of a gourmet cake donut with Savannah and I'm a tourist is $3.50. Maybe it's over $4. You want to try and get your arms around that. One of the biggest mistakes that early business owners make is they don't price their products high enough. They get too concerned about winning customers and establishing their presence in the market that they undercut their price, which means they also drive their profit down and then struggle to pay their bills.
Gotcha.
So make sure that you're in a position where for what it is you're going to offer to the audience that you're going to offer, that you get the value out of it. Okay. All right. So moving on, you got your advertising and marketing here. A lot of digital media, social media stuff, which is fantastic. It's just like we talked about earlier. It's just part and parcel with business today.
Okay.
It's
Right.
2017. You've got to have that.
Right.
But it's got to be mated to your audience.
Okay.
Not all the people that you're trying, you don't need to be on every platform. But you need to be on the platforms where the people you're trying to reach are. Who do you really think? You said tourists, but within that concept of tourist, who do you envision coming into your shop?
People who wake up, who come to Savannah, want to start the morning early and go see all the sights, and they just want a quick bite to eat, so they stop by. They want to go to the best donut shop in Savannah first. They want to go there first. So that's who I envision coming. And young, I don't know, all types of people, honestly. Like anybody who loves donuts, and everybody loves donuts. So I don't have an avatar or a set person in my mind. Like a younger person, but that's just because I think I would like to create an energy and an experience in the store that's kind of young and fun and exciting.
Okay.
But it could really be anybody that comes by.
Okay. We'll kind of go back to the great question you asked me about the 80-20 rule. Who can I focus on? I don't need to advertise to everybody.
Right.
I can't advertise to everybody. But
Right.
if I had to pick somebody, who do I think would generate the 80% of the return I'm looking for? If they're getting up early and they're trying to get going, are they young families?
Yeah.
Okay.
Young families who want to post pictures of their donut on Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if it's a young family, if it's a couple with young children, they're getting up and they're getting ready to go, who do you think's making the decision about where they stop in the morning and have their breakfast, their donuts, their coffee before they get going?
Well, if it was in my family, it's my wife. I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
How's the best way for me to get your wife's attention? What digital or social media platform is the best for me to reach her on?
Facebook.
Facebook.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Okay.
There's your platform. There's where you're going to get the 80-20 result that you're looking for. So you've got to be there. Because it won't capture everybody that theoretically can come into your shop. But when you're advertising and you're promoting and you're spending, you can't reach everybody. So focus on the people that are going to generate the best return for you. It doesn't mean that if someone my age walks in and you go, no, you're not a young couple with small children, I don't want you in here. You're not going to turn me away. It's just you didn't devote your advertising resources to me. So because there's not enough of me to do what you need to do and make your business successful.
Got you.
So, okay, so that's great. Startup cost. What do you think you're looking at from a total investment standpoint to get this going?
What I wrote on there, I mean, that's my Google research again.
Oh, okay. So, there you go. You got it right there.
Yeah.
$160,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's with an expensive Broughton Street, MLK Drive.
Okay. Okay.
Rental unit lease.
One of the things that we would do, this is one of the areas that's absolutely critical in starting your business, and that is making sure that you are properly capitalized.
Okay.
Too many business owners start their business to find out within a matter of months that they did not have enough money set aside to support the business, because it takes, most businesses, it takes them months, if not maybe a year, before they start to break even and pay for their own bills, support themselves. So an important component of this is to go through and identify specifically everything that you need, But the next item is to identify the amount of working capital or cash reserves that you need to continue to pay the bills while the donut shop is trying to get to a point to where it's generating enough revenue to cover the bills.
Right.
So we would go through an exercise whereby we did a forward-looking projections on the performance of your business, just based on very reasonable assumptions about the market, the location, and so forth. And those projections, considering the expenses, will tell us how much of a cash reserve you need.
Okay.
And we want to make sure that you have that, because you will close quickly if you don't have it, and the rent and the payroll and the light bill and the advertising and the insurance and all that is exceeding the revenue you're generating from the sale of donuts.
That's true. Okay.
So that's what hurts a lot of brand new business owners. Those businesses that you see open,
Mm-hmm.
and then you tell yourself, oh, yeah, we need to go by there. You drive by it. Oh, yeah, we need to go by there. You continue to drive by it. And then when you finally get around to going by there in the fourth or fifth month and they're closed,
Mm-hmm.
that's what happened.
Okay.
They just didn't have enough reserves to withstand the early months of their business.
Okay. Okay.
So
And
we'll want to do that.
okay. And as a disclaimer to everyone listening, this is if you haven't seen it yet, if you're not looking at it now, this is a very basic bullet point business plan. And I don't have graphs and charts. Just some basic things that I did with Google research to kind of get an idea of what Mark here at the SBDC does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but and that's also a great comment, because when you write a business plan as a new business owner, not to pile a bunch of work on top of you, but you almost have to think about two business plans. There's the one you write for yourself, which does have a lot of detail and background. And if you're considering pursuing a small business loan, there's one you write for the lender.
Okay.
It's a condensed, shortened version, because a lender does not need all the background and details on the donut business.
Okay.
This is not the first donut shop they've seen in their life.
Okay.
What they need to know are kind of the real core specifics about, well, what are you going to do that's going to make yourself different? What's going to be great about your location? What are your expectations for the performance of this business? And how quickly are you going to get to a point where you can pay them back? So they get a condensed or shortened version of your business plan.
Okay.
But what you do have is you've got the key headings and the key subject areas that you need to address. So this is a great start.
Okay.
If you were to come in with this would tell me you've done some homework, you've thought this through. We're in a good place to start moving forward.
Okay. Good to know.
Okay.
All right. What? Anything else?
Why it could fail. Let's don't be the negative.
Okay.
So,
all right. Good.
Yeah. So there's a couple things in here I just wanted to point out real quickly from, back, and we've touched on this a little bit. You've got a SWOT analysis where you go through the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And I just pointed out a couple things. You talked about from a financial standpoint, if you are in downtown historic Savannah, you are going to pay a pretty high rate for
Mm-hmm.
rent.
Mm-hmm.
And then you said in your market, you rely heavily on tourist foot traffic and tourist season to be profitable. Those two, unfortunately, kind of go hand in hand.
Gotcha.
If that's the market you want to target and that's who you want to capture, you are going to have to be downtown. You're going to have to be you're going to have to be where they are.
Mm-hmm.
And that does mean you're going to pay a higher rent rate.
Gotcha.
Now, you can't necessarily, two things. Don't be afraid of a high rent rate. If you can generate the revenue and you can generate the profit, then it may be the place to be. The second thing is, do not be afraid of competition.
Okay.
If you come up with a business that doesn't have competition, I'd love to hear it. So
Yeah.
you're just going to, if you want to own your own business and you want to be in business, you are going to face competition. The key is find a way to differentiate yourself from them. So this is something I pointed out. That's what you're going to be. Those two just kind of go hand in hand. If that's the market you want to address and that's the way you want to play, then that's where you got to be.
Okay.
And if you're going to be there, you're going to pay for it. So, and you were right. A triple net lease does mean not only are you going to, the triple net lease doesn't affect the rate. The triple net affects your responsibility as a tenant.
Mm.
Meaning, if the air conditioner goes out, you fix it.
Gotcha.
If the door breaks, you fix it. If the carpet needs to be replaced, you're probably going to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
The landlord just gave you a shell,
Hmm.
and you're going to be responsible for everything else.
And that's most of the leases I saw out there. I know it's all negotiable usually, but
Right.
that's most of what I saw.
Most everything in business is negotiable, that probably you can negotiate. You're not going to get too far because one of the things that you'll find out is if it's a really good location, the landlord knows it's a really good location.
Of course.
And they're going to say, if you want to be here, this is the lease you're going to sign and this is what you're going to pay me.
Got you.
So, and that's what I found out when I started my first business is I was like, I'm on the wrong side of this. I should be in the building ownership business.
That's true. Yeah.
Because that's who has all the power.
Yep. Okay. All right. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Mark. I appreciate your insight.
Well, I appreciate you being here and allowing me to talk about the SBDC and Savannah's Best Donuts. This was enjoyable. I'm looking forward to standing in line and being one of the first customers for your donut.
Awesome. We got to talk about getting the money first. So how can people find you? We're going to wrap up. How can people find you? How can they get in contact with you? And
right. We have a couple ways for you to reach out to us. First and foremost, the easiest thing to do is just contact us here directly at the office. Our telephone number is 912-651-3200. You'll speak with Liz. She'll work with you based on where you are in your business and what your needs are, and she'll assign you to the best consultant that fits your needs. You can find us online at www.georgia, spelled out, GEORGIA, SBDC.org. And you'll see when you go there are 17 locations around the state of Georgia. So if Savannah's not convenient for you, you can find an office that is convenient for you. We're also on Facebook, and you can just search for us on there and find our Facebook pages.
Cool. All right. Well, maybe I can write up another business plan. We can do a part 2 one day.
Sounds good. Look forward to it.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everybody out there, for listening. I hope you guys have a great Wednesday morning. I appreciate you being here with us. I hope you go out there and make some kind of impact in the world. Do something, as always, to help yourself, help your family, and help the people around you. Life is good. All right. I'll talk to you next week.